So if I'm naturally talking to you, my two eyes are on you here and we're talking. In a camera, I move over to there and my other eye is in the camera, but I'm looking at you.
You think you know Michael Caine, the legend of the silver screen, but do you really? Behind the public smile lies a story full of mysteries and challenges that few have seen. Some moments in his life are so shocking, they almost seem impossible. And what really happened will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. The making of a survivor. Michael Caine entered the world as Maurice Joseph Micklewhite on March 14, 1933, in St. Olave's Hospital in Rotherhithe, London. He was born into a working-class family that struggled to make ends meet. His mother, Ellen Frances Marie, worked long hours as a cleaner. His father, Maurice Joseph Micklewhite, carried heavy crates as a fish market porter. Their lives were simple and filled with hard work, yet they gave their son a sense of strength that would stay with him forever. Michael grew up with two brothers. Stanley was his younger brother, and David was his older half-brother. He only discovered the existence of David much later in life, which added another layer of mystery to a childhood already touched by confusion and change. When World War II broke out, Michael's life shifted sharply. During the Blitz, he was evacuated from London to Norfolk, which was a long journey away from the bombs that were destroying parts of the city. He remembered how poor his family's living conditions were before he left. The air raid sirens, the shaking windows, and the fear became normal for him. Norfolk was safer, but it was also lonely and strange for a young boy who had been torn away from home. After the war ended, the family did not return to comfort. Instead, they were rehoused in a small prefab house in Elephant and Castle, which was a tough working-class area. These homes were meant to be temporary, but the Micklewhite family lived in theirs for almost 18 years. It was cramped and plain, yet it became the place where Michael learned how to endure hardships without losing hope. School brought a rare spark of joy. Michael passed the 11+ exam and earned a place at Hackney Downs School. It was there that he accidentally discovered something that changed his future. During a school performance of Cinderella, the zipper on his trousers broke. The entire audience burst into laughter. Instead of feeling embarrassed, he felt thrilled. For the first time, he understood the power of performance. He could make people feel something, and that moment planted a seed inside him. His childhood was shaped by fear, hunger, and uncertainty, but also by sudden moments of joy. These experiences became the foundation of his resilience. As Michael would later reflect, surviving the bombs and hunger was only the beginning, because fate had another war waiting for him, and this one would follow him long after the fighting stopped. War, hunger, and the birth of Michael Caine. In 1951, Michael Caine, who was still known as Maurice Micklewhite, was called into the British Army for national service. He joined the Royal Fusiliers and found himself far from home. First, he was stationed in Germany with the British Army of the Rhine. Soon after, he was sent to Korea, where the realities of war hit him with full force. Korea changed him forever. The cold, the fear, and the chaos were unlike anything he had imagined. At one point, he became so ill with malaria that he thought he would not survive. The disease weakened him badly and played a major role in his discharge in 1953. But even more than the illness, the memories of war stayed with him. He once said that there was a day when he was certain he was going to die. What he witnessed forced him to rethink many things about life and the world. His early sympathy for communist ideas vanished completely as he watched the violence around him. He later said the war left him permanently repelled by it. When he returned home, he did not come back as a hero. He came back as a young man with no job, no money, and no clear direction. He lived again with his parents in the same small prefab house that had sheltered them after the war. His father was seriously ill and often confined to bed because of rheumatism. The constant medical worries filled the home with a quiet sadness. When his father died, Michael felt a deep grief mixed with a heavy sense of responsibility. To survive, he took whatever work he could find. At one point, he labored in a steel yard, doing exhausting work for very little pay. Life felt like a long tunnel with no light at the end. Yet even in those difficult days, one dream kept burning inside him. Acting felt like an escape from everything that hurt. His mother encouraged him to chase that dream, and for a while he moved to Paris. He lived in inexpensive rooms and worked in a small snack bar while trying to break into acting. Paris gave him courage, but it was a telegram from his agent that pulled him back to London. The message offered him a small part in the film A Hill in Korea. He accepted immediately. Around this time, he also decided to change his name. As he stood by a phone box, he saw the cinema marquee for the Caine Mutiny. He chose the name Michael Caine on the spot. It became the identity he would carry for the rest of his life. He later said that Korea shaped his character and that every moment afterward felt more intense, more precious. Just as he rebuilt himself and returned to his passion, Hollywood was preparing to open a door for him, and the role that changed everything was one he never imagined. From Alfie to exhaustion, Michael Caine's early career was built on determination rather than glamour. In the 1950s and early 1960s, he worked endlessly in repertory theater. He performed in small touring companies, including one in Lowestoft, where he played tiny roles for almost no money. His days were filled with constant travel, cold dressing rooms, and the fear of not being able to pay for his next meal. His first film appearance was in Morning Departure in 1950, although he was uncredited. Those first 9 years felt like a test of endurance. He would later say they were really brutal, and that they felt more like purgatory than anything close to success. The breakthrough finally arrived in 1964 when he played a young lieutenant in the war epic Zulu. It was a major step forward and caught the attention of the industry. Then came Alfie in 1966, which changed everything. His performance as a charming yet deeply flawed womanizer made him an international star. The role earned him an Academy Award nomination and instantly placed him among the most exciting talents of his generation. In between these films, he played the cool and quiet secret agent Harry Palmer in The Ipcress File, which became one of his signature characters and shaped the spy genre for years. By the late 60s and throughout the 70s, Michael Caine was everywhere. He appeared in film after film, with barely any time to rest. Some movies were hits, while others were forgettable, but he kept working. He later confessed that he often accepted roles simply to pay the rent, because stability mattered more than pride. Even with fame, money, and constant work, he struggled with loneliness. According to Vanity Fair, he had many sleepless nights, and often spent late hours talking with friends in clubs like The Tramp, because he found it hard to slow down once the cameras stopped rolling. Then came a turning point in the early 1980s. Educating Rita, released in 1983, revived his reputation and reminded the world of the depth he could bring to a character. The role earned him both a BAFTA and a Golden Globe. Success continued with Hannah and Her Sisters, which brought him his first Academy Award. Years later, he won another for The Cider House Rules, proving that his talent only grew stronger with time. But even as trophies filled his shelves and his name reached new heights, a shadow from his past was resurfacing, and it was about to break through the life he had carefully rebuilt. Heartbreak and the ghosts of what could have been. Michael Caine's journey through fame was often bright on the outside, but painfully heavy on the inside. That pain began early, with his first marriage to the actress Patricia Haynes. They married in 1954 when both were young, hopeful, and struggling. Money was always short. Every bill felt like a mountain they had to climb together, and the tension of daily survival created cracks in their life as a couple. Their daughter Dominique was born on August 14, 1957. Her arrival brought joy, but also new pressures. Michael was working constantly, yet earning very little. Patricia eventually returned to her parents' home with Dominique. It was a quiet sign that things were falling apart. Both were tired, both were scared for the future, and neither had the stability needed to keep the family together. The marriage ended in 1958. The divorce wounded Michael deeply. He often spoke about the guilt he carried because at that time he was out of work and completely broke. He took whatever labor he could find, including physically demanding jobs in a steel yard, so he could survive and face his responsibilities like an adult. Patricia's story ended far too soon. She died in 1977 from lung cancer at the age of 45. Michael later admitted that her death haunted him. She had never lived long enough to see him rise to international fame. She never witnessed the awards, the premieres, or the triumphs. Their time together had been filled with struggle, yet her loss left a quiet ache in him. It was a reminder of the life he once had, and the life he had failed to save. Pain resurfaced again years later when his mother passed away. After her death, he discovered a family secret that had been hidden his entire life. He learned he had an older half-brother named David who had been institutionalized for epilepsy. Michael had never been told about him. The truth hit him with force. It deepened his sense of loss and added another layer of mystery to his already complicated family history. Heartbroken and weighed down by guilt and unanswered questions, Michael threw himself back into life with desperate intensity. Two powerful women would soon enter his world, but one of them would change everything and reshape the man he believed himself to be. The search for peace. After years of heartbreak and the weight of old wounds, Michael Caine entered a chapter of searching. In the whirlwind of the 1960s and 70s, he crossed paths with women whose presence left deep marks on his heart, shaping the man he was becoming. One of the quietest yet most meaningful chapters began with Natalie Wood. Their relationship was not loudly public nor constantly photographed, but it was tender. Michael remembered their time together with softness. He spoke about the peaceful moments they shared, the kind of moments that felt like a small escape from the noise of fame. Natalie was gentle and warm, and she allowed him to be vulnerable in ways he rarely showed the world. Her death in 1981 crushed him. The news of her tragic drowning sent him into a night of grief, where he stayed awake thinking about her life, their memories, and the fragility of everything he once took for granted. Losing her made him question how much more heartbreak he could endure. Then came Bianca Jagger. Their relationship was the opposite of gentle. Bianca was energy, passion, and unpredictability. She swept through rooms like a storm and pulled Michael into a world of glamour and chaos. He admired her strength and admired her fire, yet the relationship was filled with tension. While he was grounded and steady, she lived in constant motion. The two worlds collided beautifully at times and painfully at others. Eventually, their paths separated, and soon after she married Mick Jagger in 1971. From Natalie Wood, he learned the beauty of softness. She taught him how comforting quiet love could be. From Bianca Jagger, he learned the thrill of passion and the danger of living too fast. Yet neither woman brought him the deep stability he longed for. His heart understood tenderness, and it understood fire. but it still had not found lasting peace. Michael kept searching for something real, something that would not slip away in the night or burn out under pressure. Just when he believed he had experienced every kind of love, fate placed a face on a television screen, and that single moment in front of a commercial would change his life forever. The love that saved him. In 1971, Michael Caine sat in front of a television and saw a commercial that would change the entire course of his life. The woman on the screen was Shakira Baksh. She had a calm beauty and a presence that seemed to shine even through the television lights. Michael was instantly captivated. He wanted to know her name, her story, and everything about her. He contacted the advertising agency and asked for her number. Then he called her again and again for 10 straight days until she finally agreed to meet him. When they met in person, he was so overwhelmed that his famous deep voice betrayed him. He later joked that the sound he made was not exactly smooth or seductive, but at least it showed her how much he cared. That imperfect moment was the beginning of something extraordinary. They married on January 8, 1973, and welcomed their daughter Natasha soon after. What followed was not just a marriage, but a partnership that lasted over 50 years. Their bond became one of the rare, long-lasting romances in the world of film. Shakira became the steady heartbeat of his life. She did not drink, she balanced him, and she gently pulled him away from the habits that were destroying him. Before meeting her, he drank heavily, sometimes a full bottle of vodka a day. He smoked endlessly and lived fast because he had spent so many years believing life could end at any moment. Shakira showed him another way to live. She encouraged him to change his diet, to cut out salt and sugar, and to take care of himself. He lost nearly 30 pounds. More importantly, he regained years of life he might have otherwise lost. He often said that without her, he would have been dead long ago. Their marriage thrived because it was built on mutual respect and a quiet strength. Michael often called Shakira the best thing that ever happened to him. He described her as gentle and kind, and admitted that she ran everything. He liked that she organized their world because it made him feel safe. As he grew older, he leaned on her even more. At the age of 90, he said in an interview that growing old is easier when you are married to someone beautiful who never seems to age in your heart. But even as love steadied him and filled his life with calm, his body began to falter, and the years of surviving wars, hardship, and fame were finally demanding their price. The tragedy of a legend's last years. In the final stretch of his life, Michael Caine faced a battle he could not charm or fight his way out of. Age began stealing pieces of him slowly and painfully. His mobility declined until even simple movements felt like climbing a hill. He developed spinal stenosis, which narrowed the space around his spine and pressed heavily on his nerves. Walking became difficult. Standing became exhausting. He said openly that he could no longer walk or stand for very long, and each day required more strength than the last. Even as his body weakened, he refused to surrender without trying. Inspired by Shakira and by his grandchildren, he began reshaping his lifestyle. He gave up salt and sugar and lost about 30 pounds. He wanted to stay alive, not for fame or roles, but for the people who gave him purpose. He often said that being a grandfather was his best role, and that he needed no award to prove it. Still, there were moments of fear. In interviews, he admitted he worried about his memory and the slow fading of his physical strength. For a man who survived war, hunger, heartbreak, and decades of relentless work, the idea of losing control of his own body was terrifying. By the time he appeared in bestsellers in 2021, He was nearing the end of his acting journey. He did not make a grand retirement announcement, but his health limited him so much that the industry understood the truth. Acting required standing walking, long hours, and full concentration, all things that were becoming nearly impossible. Yet despite stepping back from film, he remained active in the part of life that mattered most to him. Michael and Shakira stayed inseparable. Even with a cane or a walking frame, he still went out with her. He still smiled beside her. In one interview, he said he wakes up every morning, sees her, and feels grateful that she is there. Now at 92, frail but fulfilled, his story stands as one of the great journeys of modern cinema. A working-class boy from South London rose to global stardom, survived war, found true love, and never stopped fighting for the people he cared about. His final years may be marked by struggle, but his legacy remains a powerful reminder of resilience and heart. What do you think about Michael Caine's incredible journey from hardship to legend? Share your thoughts in the comments below.